Hi everyone, I'm Kailey. I'm a math teacher. I'm a curriculum writer. I'm also a Mario Kart addict. And I'm also a pretty big esports advocate because I believe that all students deserve a place on a team. But what exactly are we signing up for when we say that we want to bring esports to our schools? I sat down and played some of the most popular esports titles to experience firsthand the learning curve, the feel of the game, whether or not I can imagine this game in a K-12 environment, whether or not I could imagine myself coaching it, and of course, whether or not I myself as a player enjoyed the game. Believe it or not, I do think that's important when we consider which ones we bring into our schools because it's going to affect the way that we talk about it and the passion that we bring to that conversation. In this video, I'm going to go over those 5 titles. I'm going to try to level the playing field so that those of you who don't know a lot about esports still feel welcome while also not belaboring what a video game is. It's a real game, but it has buttons. Check out the blog post for more information, especially if you're new to esports. Otherwise, let's get started. First up was Fortnite on an Xbox. Your kids can be playing this on a PC or a PlayStation or even a Switch. Fortnite is a third-person shooter. 100 people on an island. As a storm shrinks the gameplay closer together, you're trying to survive by getting loot, getting materials, and of course, killing other people. Now, hear me out. It's extremely cartoonish. The violence in the game is not realistic at all. It's a really easy to get started game because it's free, and it has an in-game tutorial that walks you through the learning curve. It has pop-ups that show you what keys to click. My first game was suspiciously easy, and I killed 3 people, and then my partner lovingly pointed out that they were probably bots. Thanks a lot. Fortnite is so much more than a first-person shooter, an FPS, or a multiplayer online battle arena, a MOBA. It's a pop culture phenomenon. It's got a sandbox agility to it, so it updates regularly. It's not always going to be the same every time you log in. At the time of this video, they're doing like a Marvel specialty, so you can go to Tony Stark's lake house and try to beat Iron Man. That's a major point in favor of pop culture relevancy of the game, but it also kind of deals with like how the game is a little addictive, because if you step away from it, you probably will miss something. I could definitely see myself coaching this game. The cartoonish violence kind of takes a backseat to what you're able to do in terms of a team. You're able to communicate, you're able to strategize. It has a whole building element. It's not just about shooting people. It's super team oriented, it's really communicative, and it's really addictive, and I loved it. So the next game I played was Rocket League, which has nothing to do with rockets. It's also free. It's a really straightforward game. It's no wonder that this is the game that most schools probably get started with in their esports journey. It's definitely much cooler than the simple translation I've heard of soccer, but with race cars. I could so easily picture coaching this in a K-12 environment. I myself wasn't trained up. I was just thrown in online with 2 other people who were real life people, and I was a complete and total detriment to their team. This is the game that I could see myself returning to. This game is about physics, teamwork, anticipation. It's completely violence-free. The smaller teams of 3 offer the possibility of plenty of scrimmage arrangements right within your school. It's a beautiful game, it's pretty cool, and I think your students will agree. So next I switched to a PC to play League of Legends, which is by far the most fantastical and story-based of the games that I played. It's also one of the most popular esports games like ever. It has millions of viewers tuning in to its tournaments, both online and live. It too had a training arc where this mystical voice in the background told me things like, "An ally has been slain," when I tried to figure out what ally, what magical object did I just buy from the store. But this game strikes me as the most rich and rewarding to learn, but also with the longest investment. It's a beautiful board game that has come to life. In my first go at it, I found myself pretty mesmerized by the game, even I was a complete noob who's just wandering around the board clicking things. And this is probably that game that I would find a really passionate student and facilitate their leadership, because a deep and nuanced understanding of this game is needed. But I would really enjoy embracing that facilitator position because the game is beautiful, and I think that it's ripe for a lot of opportunities for students to grow within it. So for my 4th game, I headed back to my Xbox to play Call of Duty Warzone, namely because this is one of the most popular esports, but predictably, I could barely make it through a game. I love first-person shooters. My favorite game is Halo, but this game is relentlessly realistic. To me, it glorifies the war state, and that doesn't appeal to me at all. I found myself really missing that cartoonish element of Fortnite as I strafed through things that just seemed all too real, because not only is the war depicted very violent and gory and very realistic, it also takes place in this world, meaning I was super bored. People who think this game is exhilarating are definitely not going to find an environment in K-12 esports, so moving on. Finally, I wrapped up on a PlayStation with a good old sports game NBA 2K20. I was so bored. And it's not just because I don't love basketball. Here's the thing. I love soccer. And the NBA 2K version of soccer is FIFA. And I think it's super boring too. It reminds me of when I was a little kid and I was in an arcade and I was playing Mortal Kombat or Tekken kind of half-heartedly. I didn't know any of the combos, so I just hit the buttons and moved the joystick around, and every now and then I would win. It just kind of feels meaningless and repetitive. But obviously, if my students really wanted to play this game, I would of course support them while I found someone to head up our team, facilitate the gameplay, and I could remain that coach on the side. After playing these games, I could honestly see 4 of the 5 of them being contenders in the K-12 environment. Not Call of Duty. Sorry, guys. It all just hinges on what my students are already interested in. And as long as the game offers us opportunities to collaborate, team up, learn from our mistakes, talk about strategy in a low-stakes environment that encourages failure, I'm all for it. And teachers, while this stuff might seem very new and very overwhelming, I promise you that you have about 10 eager students ready to teach you. I had to lean on my little brother to teach me how to use a PlayStation 4. I had to lean on my partner to help me get set up on an Xbox. I had to lean on a coworker to help me get started with this mic. Needing help is super normal, but hopefully this video helped you get started. Have fun.